This video is intended to help with the consideration of content that requires the user to scroll horizontally across a screen. Let's first take a look at the content toward the top of the screen. We are going to view this through the eyes of a user who is not using screen magnification. They are able to see 100% of the content horizontally at the same time, all the way from the left to the right. Now let's take a look and see what happens when a screen magnification user who is using the docked view screen option attempts to access that same information. In this case, the docked portion of magnified content is at the bottom of the screen because the user is attempting to access information that's at the top of a web page. So now the screen magnification user may attempt to access this information by reading the text. Edward Tufte is a statistician, visualizer/artist, taught data analysis and policymaking at Princeton. When the screen magnification user gets to the word Princeton, they have to stop. Then they would need to scroll their cursor to the right in order to access the rest of the information. So in this case, at 200% magnification, it looks like the screen magnification user only has access to about 60% of the content horizontally. When we view this from the full screen magnification option, we see a similar situation. The screen magnification user would only be able to read over to the word Princeton before they would need to scroll across the rest of the screen in order to access the content. This is an example of how this might affect a student who uses screen magnification. They would need to start on the left to start to read the text, and then scroll all the way across the screen to access all of the text, and then back to the left to start on the next line, and so forth. Once they get all the way to the right, they're going to need to scroll all the way back to the left to start on the next line. Here we see a side-by-side example. On the left, you'll see someone who requires screen magnification. On the right, we will see someone who does not require screen magnification. You can see how the levels of accessibility and ease of use are different, simply because the text is spread out so far across the screen horizontally. Now let's take a look at a way that digital materials can be designed with a more narrow view of text, in a way that does not require the screen magnification user to scroll so far horizontally. Let's use the bottom part of this website as an example. A user who is not using screen magnification is, of course, able to view 100% of the content from left to right. Now let's see what happens when we switch to the docked view option in the screen magnifier. Again, when we're magnified at 200%, the user is able to see 100% of the content horizontally. And that's even the case if they increase their magnification to 300%. With the full screen view option in the screen magnifier, the user is able to also view 100% of the content when they are magnified to 200%. Even at 300% magnification, the user is able to see 100% of the content at the same time. So let's go over the horizontal scrolling accessibility summary. The top portion of this content requires the screen magnification user to continually drag their cursor to the left and right, scrolling across the screen both ways in order to access the content. This is because The screen magnification user was only able to view 60% of the content, when the non-screen magnification user was able to view 100% of the content. When the text was laid out with a more narrow view, this accommodated both the screen magnification user and other users too, because all users were able to see 100% of the content at the same time. This provided ease of use and equitable access.